The ancient black ship awakened, humanity rose again. Part 1. The Fall of Earth. The sky above New Bizen burned orange and red. Captain Yuna stood on the bridge of her ship and watched as the last human fleet died in the darkness of space. Explosions lit up like tiny stars. Each flash was a ship. Each ship held 1,000 souls. And they were all dying. "Third Fleet is gone," said Taiho. His voice was quiet. He stood at the weapons console, but there was nothing left to fire at. Nothing left to save. Yuna did not answer. She could not find words. 3 months ago, humanity had 12 colonies across the stars. They had ships. They had hope. They believed they were safe. They were fools. The Verith Dominion came without warning. 7 alien species, united under one banner, had ruled this part of the galaxy for 10,000 years. They watched humanity grow. They watched humans build colonies and make friends with smaller species. And they decided that humans were dangerous, so they came to kill them all. Yuna remembered the day Earth burned. She was not there, but she saw the recordings. Everyone saw them. The Varth wanted humanity to see. They wanted humans to understand the resistance was meaningless. Earth, the home of all humans. The blue planet where their species was born. The Varth turned it to ash in 6 hours. 8 billion people died in fire that could be seen from Mars. After Earth, the colonies fell one by one. New Shanghai, Olympus, Eden Prime. The Varth were not cruel about it. They were efficient. They killed quickly and moved to the next target. Like farmers removing weeds from a garden. Now only one colony remained. New Bizen, a small world at the edge of human space. And the fleet protecting it was burning in the sky above. "Captain," said Jisoo. She was the ship's doctor and scientist. Her face was pale as she looked at her screens. "I am reading 43 million life signs on the surface. That is all that remains. 43 million. Humanity once numbered 12 billion across all their worlds. Now 43 million frightened people huddled on one planet, watching their protectors die. The Varth command ship is moving toward the planet," said Minji. She was young, barely 20 years old. Her hands shook as she worked a console. "They will begin bombardment in 2 hours." Yuna closed her eyes. The Endurance was a refugee ship, not a warship. She had no weapons that could scratch a Verith cruiser. She had 3,000 civilians in her cargo holds, people she had pulled from dying colonies over the past 3 months. She could not save New Bizen. She could not fight. All she could do was run. "Set a course," Yuna said. Her voice was steady even though her heart was breaking. "Take us to the rim." Taiho turned to look at her. His eyes were wide. "The rim?" "Captain, no ship has ever returned from the rim. The radiation storms alone will kill us. Staying here will definitely kill us," Yuna replied. "The rim might kill us." "I'd prefer might." The rim was a region of dead space at the edge of the galaxy. Ancient radiation storms made sensors useless. Gravity wells appeared and disappeared without pattern. Every species in the galaxy avoided it. No one knew what was out there because no one who went there ever came back. But the Verith would not follow them there. That was enough. Jisoo stepped closer to Yuna. "What about the people on New Bizen? We cannot save them?" Yuna wanted to scream. She wanted to cry. She wanted to turn her ship around and fight even though it meant certain death. But she had 3,000 people depending on her. 3,000 lives that she could save. "No," she whispered. "We cannot save them." The Endurance turned away from New Bizen. As they flew toward the darkness of the rim, Yuna watched the planet grow smaller on her screen. 2 hours later, the Verith began their bombardment. The planet's surface glowed bright, then brighter, then faded to black. 40-3 million people. Gone in minutes. Minji was crying at her station. Taiho stared at nothing, his face empty. Jisoo held onto a console like she might fall without it. Yuna felt something break inside her chest. Not her heart. Something deeper. Something that had believed the universe was fair, that good people survived, that humanity had a future, that something was dead now. How many humans are left? She asked. Jisoo checked her records with shaking hands. Including our passengers and the other refugee ships we know about. Approximately 40 million. 40 million humans in a galaxy of trillions. Scattered across space in small ships, hunted by an empire that wanted them extinct. Send a message to all human ships, Yuna commanded. Tell them to run. Tell them to hide. Tell them to survive however they can. She paused and looked at the stars ahead. The rim waited for them, dark and unknown. Tell them that as long as one human breathes, we are not defeated. We will survive. We will remember. And someday, she clenched her fists. Someday, we will make them pay for what they did. The Endurance flew into the darkness. Behind them, the light of dying worlds faded to nothing. Humanity was broken. Humanity was dying. But humanity was not dead yet. The ancient black ship awakened, humanity rose again. Part 2. The Discovery 6 weeks passed in the rim. 6 weeks of darkness and fear. The Endurance moved slowly through space that seemed to hate them. Radiation storms forced them to change course every few days. Strange gravity wells pulled at the ship like invisible hands. The crew worked in shifts, sleeping when they could, always watching for danger. Yuna barely slept at all. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw a new Bizon burning. She saw Earth turning to ash. She saw the faces of people she could not save. On the 42nd day, everything changed. Captain, Minji shouted from her sensor station. Her voice was strange. Not afraid. Something else. You need to see this. Yuna walked to Minji's console and looked at the screen. At first, she did not understand what she was seeing. The sensors showed something massive floating in space ahead of them. Something impossibly large. Is that a ship? Taiho asked, moving closer. It cannot be, Jisoo whispered. It is 12 kilometers long. No species has ever built anything that big. But it was a ship. As the Endurance drew closer, its shape became clear. Long and angular, like a blade made for cutting through stars. And it was black. Not painted black. The hull seemed to eat light itself. Looking at it made Yuna's eyes hurt. I am not reading any power signatures, Minji reported. No life signs. I think it is dead. How long has it been here? Yuna asked. Jisoo ran her scans again and again. Her face grew more confused each time. Captain, this makes no sense. The hull material is unlike anything in our databases. The design matches no known species. And the age. She shook her head. The carbon dating says this ship is at least 50,000 years old. 50,000 years. Humans had only discovered spaceflight 800 years ago. This ship was older than human civilization itself. We need to go inside, Yuna said. Taiho stepped forward. Captain, we do not know what is in there. It could be dangerous. Everything is dangerous now, Yuna replied. But that ship might have technology we can use. Weapons, engines, anything that could help us survive. They found an opening in the lower hull where something had torn through the metal long ago. Yuna led a small team inside. Taiho came with her, along with Jisoo and 2 guards. They wore suits and carried lights, but the darkness inside the ship seemed to push back against them. Dust covered everything. It floated in the air like gray snow, undisturbed for thousands of years. The walls were made of the same black material as the hull. Strange symbols were carved into them. These markings, Jisoo said, running her gloved hand over the wall. I do not recognize the language. They moved deeper into the ship. Every room was the same. Dark, silent, dead. But then they found something that made all of them stop. On a wall in what looked like a command center, there was a symbol, a circle, and inside the circle, a human hand reaching towards stars. That is a human hand, Taiho said. His voice shook. Why is there a human hand on a ship that is 50,000 years old? Jisoo scanned the symbol. Her face went white. The proportions are exact. 5 fingers. The same bone structure. This is not similar to a human hand. This is a human hand. They found more symbols as they explored. Human hands everywhere. And then they found her. She was in a room at the center of the ship. A glass case held her body, surrounded by machines that still blinked with faint light. She looked like she was sleeping. Black hair spread around her face. Korean features, the same as Yuna's own ancestors. She was human. Impossible, Taiho breathed. This is impossible. Jisoo examined the machines around the case. It is a stasis pod, much more advanced than anything we have. She has been sleeping here for... She checked her readings 3 times. For 50,000 years. And she is still alive. Yuna looked at the sleeping woman's face. She looked peaceful. She looked like she was waiting for something. Wake her up, Yuna said. It took them 3 days to figure out how to open the pod safely. When they finally did, the woman's eyes fluttered open. They were dark brown, deep and old and sad. She spoke, but the words made no sense. The language was unlike anything their translators knew. For 3 more days, they worked to communicate. The woman learned quickly. Too quickly. She absorbed their language like water into dry sand. On the 3rd day, she finally spoke words they could understand. My name is Hana, she said. Her voice was soft but strong. I am the captain of this ship. I have been waiting a very long time. She looked at Yuna with those ancient eyes. You are human. That means my people survived. Your people? Yuna asked. Hana smiled, and there was 50,000 years of sorrow in that smile. Humanity, she said. The first children of the stars. We built this ship. We built everything. And then they betrayed us. Yuna felt the universe shift under her feet. Tell me everything, she said. And Hana did. The ancient black ship awakened. Humanity rose again. Part 3. The truth of humanity. They sat in the command center of the ancient ship. Yuna, Taiho, Jisoo, and Minji all listened as Hana told them the true history of humanity. The true history of the galaxy. 50,000 years ago, Hana began, humanity was the greatest civilization in the known universe. Yuna leaned forward. That is not possible. Humans only developed space travel 800 years ago. Hana shook her head slowly. That is what you were taught. That is what the galaxy wants you to believe. But it is a lie. She touched a panel on the wall. Lights flickered. A hologram appeared, showing a map of the galaxy filled with human symbols. We were the first, Hana continued. The first to leave our home planet. The first to build ships that could travel faster than light. The first to reach other stars. She pointed at the map. At our peak, we controlled 40% of the galaxy. Not through war, through knowledge. Jisoo was shaking her head. But if this is true, where is the evidence? Where are the ruins? The records? Destroyed, Hana said simply. Erased. Buried so deep that no one would ever find them. Her eyes grew dark with old anger. We were teachers. We found younger species still living in caves and gave them fire. We found others just discovering mathematics and taught them physics. Every major technology in this galaxy came from human minds. She waved her hand and the hologram changed. It showed alien species that Una recognized. The Varith, the Kelani, the Droth, dozens of others. We lifted them all, Hana said. We gave them everything. And they thanked us by trying to destroy us. Why? Taiho asked. His voice was barely a whisper. Hana was quiet for a long moment. Fear, she finally said. They feared what we might become. Humans learned too fast, grew too strong, created too much. The younger species looked at what we had built in 10,000 years and imagined what we might build in another 10,000. She closed her eyes. So they united against us. Species that had been enemies for centuries came together with one purpose: kill the humans. The hologram showed war. Ships burning. Worlds dying. It looked exactly like what was happening now. The first war lasted 200 years, Hana said. We did not want to fight. We tried to make peace. But they would not stop. They did not want us defeated. They wanted us gone, erased, forgotten. She opened her eyes and looked directly at Una. In the end, they almost succeeded. Almost? Una asked. Hana stood and walked to a window that looked out into the black void. Before the end, we had a plan. We could not save our civilization, but we could save our species. She touched the cold glass. We gathered the last of our children and sent them far away, to a small blue planet at the edge of the galaxy. A planet no one cared about. A planet called Earth. Una felt her blood turn cold. You seeded Earth? You created us? We gave you a second chance, Hana corrected. We removed your technology. We let you start over. We hoped that by the time you grew strong again, the galaxy would have forgotten. But they did not forget, Taiho said bitterly. The Varith are doing the same thing now. Hunting us. Killing us. Hana nodded. The Varith were one of the first species we uplifted. They learned our lessons well. They have been watching Earth for thousands of years, waiting to see if humans would become dangerous again. And when we started building colonies, Jisoo said, they decided to finish what their ancestors started. Hana turned back to face them. Her expression was hard as stone. They think they have won. They think humanity is almost gone. Just like last time. She walked to the center of the room and placed her hand on a black console. The ship around them began to hum. Lights flickered on in rooms that had been dark for 50,000 years. The lights flickered on in rooms that had been dark for 50,000 years. Power flowed through ancient systems. But this time is different, Hana said. This time you have found me. And this ship, what is this ship? Una asked. The Yongwan, Hana answered. It means eternal. It was the flagship of the first human fleet, the most powerful warship ever built. She smiled, and there was something dangerous in that smile. Before the end, we hid it here, in a place no one would ever look. I put myself into stasis and waited for our children to find their way back. Systems activated around them. Screens came alive, showing weapon systems and shield generators and engine capacities that made no sense. Numbers too big to be real. The Varith think they know what humans can do, Hana said. They have forgotten. 50,000 years is a long time. They have become comfortable, arrogant. She looked at Una with eyes that had seen civilizations rise and fall. Shall we remind them? Una thought about Earth burning. She thought about New Bizen. She thought about 40 million humans hiding in the darkness, waiting to die. Yes, she said. Let us remind them. Hana nodded. Good, but the Yongwan alone is not enough. We need an army. And I know exactly where to find one. The ancient black ship began to move. After 50,000 years of sleep, humanity's greatest weapon was finally awake, and the galaxy was not ready. The Ancient Black Ship Awakened, Humanity Rose Again, Part 4. Awakening the Giant. 3 months passed. 3 months of work, discovery, and hope. Duhayan was the Endurance's chief engineer. He had spent 20 years fixing human ships. He thought he understood technology. Then Hannah showed him the Yongwan's engine room. "This is not possible," he kept saying as Hannah explained the systems. "The physics alone should not work." "The physics works fine," Hannah replied. "You just do not understand it yet." She pointed at a spinning core of light at the center of the room. "This engine can fold space. What takes your ships months to travel, we can cross in days." Dahyun stared at the light like a child seeing fire for the first time. "Can you teach me?" "I will teach all of you," Hannah said. "But we do not have much time." She was right. Every day they hid in the rim was a day the Virith spent hunting the remaining humans. Refugee ships were being found and destroyed. The 40 million survivors were becoming 30 million. Then 20. But Hannah had a plan. Before the fall, we hid caches throughout the galaxy, she explained to Yuna and her officers. Shipyards. Weapon stores. Everything we would need to rebuild. The locations are stored in the Yongwan's computers. "Why did you not use them before?" Tayo asked. Hannah's face grew sad. "By the time we hid them, we were already dying. There was no one left to use them." She looked at the crew of the Endurance. Until now, the first cache was hidden in an asteroid belt near Virith space. It was dangerous to go there. The Varith had patrol ships everywhere. But they did not expect the Yongwan. When a Varith cruiser spotted them, it moved to attack. Yuna watched from the bridge as Hannah operated the weapons console. One ship, the Varith captain, transmitted. "You humans never learn. Surrender now, and we will kill you quickly." Hannah did not answer. She pressed a single button. A beam of white light shot from the Yongwan. The Varith cruiser, a ship that could destroy human fleets by itself, simply stopped existing. One moment it was there. The next moment, there was only dust. The bridge crew stared in silence. "The weapons still work," Hannah said calmly. "Good." Inside the asteroid, they found treasures beyond imagination. 12 warships, smaller than the Yongwan, but still massive by modern standards. They had been waiting in the darkness for 50,000 years, and their systems came online the moment Hannah activated them. "These ships need crews," Hannah said. "We need to find more humans." Yuna sent out signals using codes that only human ships would recognize. Slowly, the refugees came. Ships full of frightened people who had lost everything. When they saw the ancient fleet, when they learned the truth of humanity's past, something changed in their eyes. Fear became anger. Despair became determination. Sergeant Yunji was one of the first to volunteer for the new fleet. She was a Marine who had fought in the retreat from Earth. She had lost her entire unit saving civilians. "Give me a ship," she told Yuna. "Give me a crew. I will make the Varith pay for every human life they took." The second cache was hidden inside a gas giant. It took them a week to find the entrance and another week to reach the facility buried deep in the crushing atmosphere. But what they found was worth every moment of danger. A factory. A massive, ancient factory that could build fighters and weapons at a speed that made Dohyun cry with joy. "We can arm the entire human population with this," he said, walking through rooms full of dormant machines. "We can build a real fleet." The third cache was the most important of all. It was hidden on a dead moon at the edge of the galaxy. Inside was a database containing the true history of everything. Jisoo spent days reading the records. She learned how humanity had invented faster than light travel, how they had created the terraforming technology that every species now used, how they had built the first artificial intelligences and the first genetic modifications. "Everything," she whispered. Everything the galaxy has, they took from us. She also found a list. A long list of every species that had participated in humanity's destruction 50,000 years ago. The Verth were on the list. So were dozens of other species that now ruled as lords of the galaxy. They built their empires on our graves, Taiho said when he saw the list. His fists were clenched so tight his knuckles were white. And then they did it again. Word spread among the scattered human refugees. Ships came from every corner of the galaxy. 40 million became 50 million, then 60. Every day, more humans arrived at the rim. They were not refugees anymore. They were soldiers. Hana trained them. She taught them how to use the ancient weapons. She taught them the tactics that had once made humanity the masters of the stars. And she taught them something else. Something more important. We will win this war, she told them. But we will not become what they are. We will not destroy their worlds. We will not kill their children. We fight for freedom, not revenge. The humans listened. Some disagreed. Some wanted blood. But Hannah was clear. If we become monsters to defeat monsters, then humanity has truly lost. We are better than that. We always were. The fleet grew. 300 ships now orbited the rim. An army of humans armed with weapons their enemies could not imagine. Yuna stood on the bridge of the Yonwan and looked at her fleet. 6 months ago, she had been a refugee captain, running from death. Now she was the commander of humanity's last hope. We are ready, Hana said, standing beside her. It is time to let the galaxy know that humanity has returned. Yuna nodded. Send the transmission. The message went out to every corner of the galaxy. To every human ship still hiding. To every alien species that had thought humanity was finished. Humanity was coming home. And nothing would stop them. The ancient black ship awakened, humanity rose. Again Part 5. Humanity rises again, the Verth High. Council met on their homeworld to celebrate Victory Day. 1 year had passed since they burned Earth. 1 year since they proved that the human pest could be crushed. Lords and generals gathered in their great hall, drinking and laughing about their triumph. Then the screens activated by themselves. Hana appeared on every display. She wore the black uniform of the first human fleet. Behind her, through the view screen of her ship, the Verth leaders could see something that made their blood freeze. Ships. Hundreds of ships. Designs that should not exist. Designs from nightmares that their ancestors had whispered about 50,000 years ago. You remember us, Hana said. Her voice was calm and cold. You remember what we were before you betrayed us. You thought you had ended us twice. She leaned closer to the camera. You were wrong both times. The Verth High Admiral jumped to his feet. Impossible. The first humans are dead. This is a trick. No trick, Hana replied. No deception. Just the truth you tried to bury. She gestured to someone off-screen. A moment later, recordings began playing. The true history of the galaxy. Human scientists inventing faster-than-light travel. Human teachers showing the Verth how to build their first ships. Human doctors curing the plague that almost destroyed the Kalani species. You built your civilization on our achievements, Hana continued. And then you killed us for it. You erased our history and claimed our inventions as your own. You told your children that humans were primitive animals. She paused and looked directly into the camera. But here we are, 50,000 years later. Still standing. Still fighting. Still human. The Verth High Admiral found his voice. Attack. He screamed. Destroy them. Destroy them all. The largest fleet the Verth had ever assembled moved toward the human ships. 2,000 cruisers. 500 battleships. The pride of an empire that had ruled for millennia. On the bridge of the Yongwan, Yuna watched them come. Her hands were steady on her console. Behind her, Taiho managed weapons. Minji tracked enemy movements. Jisoo monitored fleet communications. They were all scared. But they were also ready. All ships, Yuna commanded. Remember what we are fighting for. Remember Earth. Remember New Bizin. Remember everyone we lost. She took a deep breath. Begin the attack. The battle lasted 4 hours. Human ships moved with a speed the Vareth could not match. Weapons that had slept for 50,000 years woke up and spoke with voices of fire and light. Vareth shields that had never been broken shattered like glass. Taiho fired the Yongwan's main weapon. A Vareth battleship, the largest in their fleet, broke in half. Then another. Then another. But the humans did not simply destroy. As Vareth ships lost power, human marines boarded them. They captured instead of killed. They took prisoners instead of lives. We are not them, Yunji said as she led her team through a captured cruiser. Vareth soldiers surrendered before her, shocked that they were not being executed. We do not murder the helpless. 3 hours into the battle, the Vareth flagship tried to run. Yuna caught it. High Admiral, she transmitted. You can surrender now, or you can die. Choose. The High Admiral's face appeared on her screen. He looked old. He looked afraid. He looked like a lord watching his kingdom fall. How? He whispered. How did you do this? You were broken. You were finished. Yuna smiled. It was not a cruel smile, but it was not kind either. We are human, she said. We do not know how to stay broken. The High Admiral surrendered. When his ship's weapons went silent, the rest of the Vareth fleet followed. 2,000 ships stopped fighting in minutes. The battle was over. Humanity had won. In the days that followed, the galaxy changed forever. Hana broadcast the true history to every planet and station. Species that had been told humans were primitive invaders learned the truth. Some were ashamed. Some were angry. Some simply could not believe it, but the evidence was clear. The records were complete. The lie that had lasted 50,000 years finally died. The Vareth Dominion did not fall. Humanity did not destroy them or take their worlds. Instead, treaties were signed. The Vareth would pay for their crimes, but they would pay with reparations and truth, not with blood. We could crush them, Taiho said privately to Yuna. We have the power now. Why not make them suffer, like they made us suffer? Yuna looked at him with tired eyes. Because that is not who we are. That is not who we want to be. She gestured at the stars outside her window. We have a chance to build something new. Something better. If we become destroyers and conquerors, we lose ourselves. We become exactly what they feared. Construction began on New Earth. It would be built in neutral space, a symbol of humanity's return. Refugees, who had hidden in the darkness for years, came out to see the rising structures with tears in their eyes, 6 months after the battle. Yuna stood on the observation deck of the Yongwan with Hana. They watched as the first buildings of New Earth took shape against the stars. 50,000 years, Hana said softly. I waited 50,000 years for this moment. Was it worth it? Yuna asked. Hana was quiet for a long time. I lost everyone I loved. My crew, my family, my entire civilization. She turned to look at Yuna. But I look at you. I look at your people. I see the same courage, the same creativity, the same stubborn refusal to give up. She smiled, and for the first time since waking, she looked at peace. Yes, it was worth it. Far below them, human children played in the corridors of the new station. They laughed and shouted, not knowing or caring about the wars that had been fought for their future. They were simply alive, simply free. What happens now? Yuna asked. Hana looked at the stars. Billions of them, trillions, each one holding possibilities that humans had not yet imagined. Now, she said, we do what humans have always done. We explore. We create. We reach for things we cannot yet see. She put her hand on Yuna's shoulder. And this time, we make sure the galaxy never forgets who we are. Yuna nodded. Below her, humanity worked. Humanity built. Humanity rose. The ancient black ship had awakened. And with it, a species that the galaxy had tried twice to destroy. Humanity was back. And the universe would never be the same. The end.